morning, friends. I am Patty Elhoff, the author of Upcycle with Decoupage, and today I would like to show you how to take a broken clay pot and turn it into something that we can use, and I'll show you how to do that. I had a couple of broken clay pots around the house, which I cannot find naturally, so I will show you how I broke these on my own. And you just want to take a regular old clay pot and grab a hammer, and I did this outside in the driveway, and you want to kind of tap it. Start up at the top here and tap it. Now the second pot that I did this to, look at that, it kind of broke perfectly, but the second pot that I did this to, the whole bottom piece fell off, which was no big deal because I just used some good glue called Weld Bond, and I just glued this back together. It's holding up beautifully. It's a really good glue for clay pots. I then sanded these edges with a Dremel because there were some sharp edges. You can sand this with sandpaper, a nail file. It's very easy to sand. You can also use a Dremel. There's an attachment that you can use to get an exact cut along the side. But for this video, I wanted to go with the more natural look. I then covered my pot with one coat of gesso and then the second coat of white chalk paint. It's fine if you use 2 coats of gesso or 2 of the chalk paint. While this was drying, I experimented on some journal paper with a bunch of different fall colors because I wanted to see what the best background color would be. That first page was too dark, so I went a lot lighter here. And the reason that I'm doing this is because we want to make sure that when we put our coffee filter leaves on, they really stand out. So the original color was too dark, you could hardly see the leaves, and you just might want to practice this background first before you put it on your surface. And I'm trying to go for like a blustery day look, so I'm being very haphazard with all of the paint. Once I was happy with that background, I started to do the background on my project. You'll notice that on the larger pot, on the outside, I did a little bit darker of a color, but the inside I went with a lighter color. And you see the leaves in the background. I'll show you how to do the leaves while this is drying. But there's one other thing I'd like to do. I'm going to take a piece of plastic wrap while that paint is wet, crinkle the wrap, saran wrap, crinkle it up, place it down and start to press those wrinkles into the pot. And you see this nice effect that it gives the paint? I'm going to do this all over the front and the back and put this aside to dry. Now that this has dried, I am going to take some Distress ink and I'm going to go around all of these edges on the front and I'm going to pat the Distress ink. This is tea stain or tea dye. It's on my website with the list of everything else. I'll provide the link below so that you can see everything that I'm using and purchase everything or some things that you need. And I'm also smearing it with my finger. So it's going to have a little bit of a dark edge and I'm going to rub that in. And sometimes I use a little makeup sponge just to get that little bit of extra aging around the edges. And this dries very quickly. So now moving on to the leaves, I took a plain coffee filter and I tore it open and I started to punch out all of these separate leaves. Now the punch did seem to jam up a little bit this way. So what I attempted to do was just fold it, or keep it intact rather, without tearing it, and punch the double coffee filters. I then sprayed some water down on my craft mat and I took several Distress inks and I stamped, or I pounced over these damp leaves so that I had a nice fall color or fall colors on my leaves. And I'll show you what those look like. They came out looking like this, very authentic fall colors, I thought. All of these products are available on my website, so I'll put the link below. You can go over and see everything that I used. And then I decided to try one whole coffee filter. I would color that with those same colors and the same technique. I sprayed the craft mat and then I pounced all of those Distress inks all over the surface. and as I tried to punch out one leaf at a time, it kept getting jammed again. So what I did is I just took a piece of regular old copy paper and I placed my filter over it and started to stamp the rest of my leaf. Now my leaves are dry, my pot is dry, and I took my matte Mod Podge and I started to decoupage. And it's really easy to lift up these leaves with the brush. So what I did was I added decoupage glue, picked up one of the leaves and placed it down. And you can go in a pattern with these, or you can just place them haphazardly. I kind of went haphazardly with this. And I'm going to add these to the whole inside, the front and the back, and then I'll come back and show you the next step. You want to put this aside to dry, and when it's all dry you want to go back over and cover the whole front and back with another coat of decoupage glue. Let it dry and coat it one more time and let it dry. You may want to skip this step. I just took a little bit of white chalk paint and water and I put it on a flexible toothbrush and I did a little bit of a splatter finish over my leaves. I ended up wiping a little bit more away, but I was happy with that finish. I then took triple thick spray top coat and I took this outside and I sprayed only one coat over the front and the back and covered the whole surface of this, and I let it dry. And here's how our finished project looks. You can see how I did the darker shade on the back, and this one I did with a little bit of a green background. And I'll show you how these look in the dark with a candle in it. It'll get a little darker than that. But if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me. I will do my best to get back with you as soon as I can. It normally takes me 2 or 3 days to get back to you, but I do get back to you. Thank you so much for subscribing. I do want to mention something. I don't think that I tell you that my website goes through Amazon. If you've got Amazon Prime, you get free shipping. It gets there in 2 days. I went to a craft store the other day to use the coupon and ended up having to go to 3 different craft stores, spending a bunch of my time and gas trying to find something, and I just should have gone to Amazon because I have Prime. But please do go through my website. It really helps me out. It allows me to keep making videos for you guys, and it is my pleasure to help you. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. If you go over and like and follow the page, you'll be notified every week when I put a brand new video out. Once again, thank you so much for subscribing and for your lovely comments. I will see you guys next week with another video. Bye-bye.